A new battlefront emerged this week in the fight over abortion rights. In North Carolina, the Republican-controlled state Senate approved new limits on abortion clinics. They got tacked on to a bill designed to ban Islamic Sharia law and were approved less than 24 hours after they were introduced. The controversial move came on the heels of Texas State Senator Wendy Davis's 11-hour filibuster that killed a bill banning abortions after 20 weeks. But rather than accept defeat here, Republican Governor Rick Perry called another special session to give the bill another go. And just yesterday, Wisconsin became the latest state to approve tougher abortion restrictions. So now I want to bring in Ilyse Hogue, president of NARAL Pro-Choice America, and Marjorie Dannenfelser, president of the Susan B. Anthony List, a nonprofit that wants to end abortion in America. Great to have you both here with us. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And Marjorie, I want to start with you. Let's start with North Carolina here. Even though the Republican governor there is questioning the way these limits on abortion clinics were passed, my question to you is, was it fair or was it sneaky to put these measures into a bill that had nothing to do with abortion?
Well, it's the least of the matter is how they is the last 24 hours, because I'm from North Carolina. I was in the legislature not that long ago talking to legislators there. It is not new that these measures are on the table, and it's certainly not new that they're on the table given the overall context of what's going on in abortion clinics across the country. North Carolina, Virginia, Delaware, Maryland, West Virginia, on, where women are being exploited and unborn children are treated as worse than trash. I mean, going to the extent of even using their body parts as trophies in some places. I mean, it is really horrendous. And to question the motives of how it's getting to the governor's desk at this point really is beside the point.
So you don't think it's sneaky that the way they were put in that?
It's not sneaky. No, it's not sneaky. Would it be sneaky if you were throwing yourself in front of a train to save another person's life? Well, it might be sneaky because it would be at the last minute. But it is also helping save people's lives. And really, honestly, the people who are opposed to this are more interested in the institution of abortion than they are about the individual lives that
All right,
are affected
Ilyse, I know you have strong opinions about this, but I want to ask you, Texas is in the middle of a second special legislative session to take up what's effectively a 20-week abortion ban. This process is legal, so why is there so much hand-wringing over this second special session, Ilyse?
I think that what we're seeing is a frustration, because when you've got an extreme agenda like the one that Marjorie purports, you know, Marjorie, with all due respect, her views are way out of step with the American people. Marjorie once said that having sex out of the context of giving birth is not, you know, it breaks a connection. That's not the way most American women live their lives. And these legislative sessions are being driven by those extreme politics. Now, the politicians know they don't have the people on their side, which is why they're resorting to these kinds of sneaky, dirty tricks. They're cheating the process in order to win, and that really riles people up. When I was down in Texas, I saw a lot of people who really are opposed to this bill on the substance. I mean, in order to actually save women's lives, we've got to have accessible medical care, and this bill would shut down 37 of the 42 clinics in the state. However, lots of people are also extremely concerned that the elected officials that are supposed to uphold the law of the land are now changing the rules at the last minute to drive an extreme ideological agenda that is so out of step with where women and men across the country are.
That is amazing. Show some respect for the will of women in Texas and women in this country, Ilyse. Women in Texas support this measure 2-to-1. Young people and women support a 20-week ban by majorities. So I don't know. Talking about between you and me, about who's out of step isn't relevant. This is not a base election. 20 weeks on is a majority position.
When people like Marjorie outlaw abortion, you get people like Kermit Gosnell who are hurting women and hurting babies, as Marjorie said. That the existence of Kermit Gosnell, if we want to be sure there is a butcher like that in every city and every town around the country.
All right, let me jump in here really quickly, Ilyse, because we're showing here a full screen of this latest polling, and it does put things in perspective here. This is from late June. It shows that less than half of Americans would support such a ban of nearly all abortions after 20 weeks. But this is what's interesting here. We break it down by gender. Exactly half of the women support such a ban. So, Marjorie,
I think it's really important to understand
I believe that Ilyse,
Okay, let me jump in here, Ilyse. Marjorie, your group is lobbying Marco Rubio of Florida to sponsor a 20-week ban in the U.S. Senate. You told CNN Rubio wants to do it, but these latest polls show support is split. How do you think this is going to happen? Plus, Democrats control the Senate.
Well, if you've got the majority of American people siding on anything on the abortion issue, I say run with it. And it goes past extremes. It goes past Ilyse's position, which is you cannot restrict at any point along the way. It goes past the lack of outrage that her organization and others have treated us all with when there is exploitation of women going on in every clinic, almost every single clinic in the country, at least in every state in this country, and there's not a word, not a peep. How about the Planned Parenthood workers who just left Delaware saying those nurses who said these are meat market assembly line style of abortions, and I can't possibly work in this place anymore. Where is your outrage?
All right, let me ask you this. In light of the surge on the state level, just, you know, do you have concern here about Roe versus Wade? What's your take on all this?
No, I mean, these 20-week bans are not only unconstitutional, but they also are less than 2% of abortions in the nation, and they are the most desperate women who are facing unimaginable medical conditions, and most Americans understand that this is a tiny percentage of abortion, and they don't want extreme advocates like Marjorie and the politicians on her side deciding for them. This is a decision that women face with their families and their doctors. They're heartbreaking decisions.
These
and
are
15,000
children a year.
Deciding that is very, very dangerous, and most people understand that. That's why 70% of Americans support Roe. It is the law of the land, and these state politicians who are legislating it out of existence are going to face a political price at the ballot box.
Ilyse Hogue, Marjorie Dannenfelser, thank you for that spirited debate. This conversation, no doubt, will continue.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Victor.
Thank you.